Hello, this is Chuck Terry again with Crescent and Valiani. I'm here to illustrate a couple of designs that we're going to be working with. These are some themed designs for Halloween since it's the month of October. We've got a couple of Halloween mats that we're going to go through and show you. First one we'll show you is a simple opening with a pumpkin shaped into the opening. And to get started, what I want to do is I'm going to set my outside dimension. So right now my default is 16 by 20 for my frame size. However, I want to go ahead and change that. So I'm going to type in 8. I'm going to hit the tab key, and then I'm going to type in 10, hit the tab key. Now I'm going to tab down until I get to my borders. And right now my borders are set to 2 inches. So what that's telling me is when I add an opening in here, it's going to automatically set that opening to 2 inches from the border. I want to change that. I'm going to type in 1 5/8, so 1.625. And if you notice, when I highlight the top border and I type in the value, it changes the values for all of the borders. And I can hit the tab key, and if I want to make the borders different for the other 3, I can go ahead and do that, but it just quickly pre-populates all of the borders to be equal. So now that I've got my border set to 1 5/8, again, I can see that there's no opening on here, but my dashed lines that are out here for representation of the borders are set to 1 5/8. So I'm going to set the opening here. I'm going to just select the rectangle template, add that in. Now, when I add that in, it's going to be placed at on the center of the mat, and it's going to be a size of 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. And that's based off of my 8 by 10 mat with my 1 5/8 inch borders. So I get a 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 opening. Now the opening got placed on layer 1, and currently there's only one layer. So I've got one frame size with an opening in it, and then my cut type is set to normal. Okay, that's the default. And then my head type that I'm going to be cutting, the bevel style that I'm going to be cutting with, is the 40 degree. Again, that's my default head type. So now I need to add in the clip art. So I'm going to come down here to the openings tab, and I'm going to click on insert clip art. Now, prior to starting this video, I went ahead and I set up some preferred clip art into my list over here so that I didn't have to go through and try and source in each one of these folders which one I wanted to use and try to drill down into them. So to make it easier on yourselves to add a clip art to the preferred list, all you have to do is right click on the name of the file and then add to preferences or preferences. Okay, so with that being said, over here I've got a pumpkin, and under the pumpkin it happens to be located under the holidays, and it's a holiday number 8, and the style is pumpkin. So I'm going to double click on that design. I'm going to add that clip art into the mat. Now you'll notice that when I do that, it looks different than when I have my opening selected. When I have my opening selected, I see all these tabs over here. I see properties, parameters, cutting properties, so on and so forth. Well, when I click on this clip art, because this clip art is made up of more than one object, it's looking at this as though it's a grouped object. So it's given me the options for the width and the height, and then if I want to adjust it proportionally, I can adjust it proportionally by selecting this button. It's not giving me the options to put it onto a different layer or work with the individual objects. I will do that, but bear with me for just one moment. I'm going to go ahead and size the image here. We're going to select the clip art. I'm going to click on proportional, and then I'm going to size this up. And right now I'm just going to throw in an arbitrary size, let's say 1.5 inches. Okay. Now with that 1.5 inches in there, it didn't refresh the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the program, or all the openings. I'm going to click on group and then ungroup. Okay. So now that brings that image back forward again. It's a slight issue that Valiani is trying to work on and fix. Now I want to position this pumpkin into one of the corners, and I'm just going to bring it down here into the lower corner here. And if I have my snap tool on, you can see this down here. As I move the object around, I get these red lines that appear that show where I'm at position-wise relative to the center of the mat, or to the edge of an opening, or to the center of an opening, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to drag that pumpkin down here into this lower left-hand corner. Now if I want to see where it's actually positioned at, I'm going to come into the Arrangement tab, and I can see that it's not quite 1 5/8 on the left. It's 1 5/8 on the bottom. So I'm going to make this actually 1.55 on the left, and then on the bottom I'm going to make it 1.55 as well. Now the reason why I'm doing that is what I'm going to do is I'm going to shape this pumpkin into the opening, and that requires a little bit of an overlap or intersection of the object. If I don't have an intersection of the object, sometimes it can't mathematically determine what lines to get rid of. So I give it a slight overlap, and then I'm going to go into my shaping tools, and I want to shape this object into the opening, or I like to refer to it as fusing the object into the opening. Sometimes it's a little easier to understand. I'm actually taking that and I'm going to fuse it together so it makes it one entity. However, there's one problem that I have with this, and that happens to be that this clip art is still grouped together. Well, if an object or a group of objects are grouped together, you can't really do much with it. So it's usually best if you ungroup it. So I'm going to come over here to my tools, and I'm going to do ungroup. Now when I ungroup it, you can see that it makes up, you can see that it's selecting all of the different entities that make up that object. So I'm going to click somewhere off into the blue, and then I'm going to come back over here to the pumpkin, and the silhouette portion of it. Now that it's not grouped together, I can see that it is in fact on layer 1. It's set to cut as a normal cut, and my head type is set to cut as a bevel. So it will allow me to now shape that object into the rectangle. So I'm going to hold the control key down on the keyboard. With my pumpkin selected, I'm going to hold the control key down, and I'm going to click somewhere on my rectangle. Now that I've clicked on the rectangle, I'm going to come over here to my shaping tools, which is under the advanced tab, and I'm going to choose one of these 4 shaping options. Well, it just so happens to be that this one needs to be trimmed with the bottom, so trim bottom, or fuse to the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And when I do that, it puts kind of a white outline around the silhouette of the pumpkin. So now what I have to do is I have to get rid of that initial pumpkin that's on layer 1. And I'm going to do that by selecting it. I can hit the delete key on the keyboard, or I can hit the delete key on the tools. Okay? So now that's been shaped into the opening. Okay? Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. If I want to click on the individual objects, the mouth or the eyes, I can also see that they're on layer 1, layer 1, layer 1. This little triangle piece left in the corner, it's also part of the larger opening. If I want to further edit that and maybe get rid of it or do something different with it, I could. All I have to do is select the object and then click explode. When I click on explode, now that piece becomes its own object again. Okay, I'm going to keep it there for this particular video purpose, and then I will go ahead and finish out this design. So on this design, I actually want this to end up being on layer 1. So everything that I see here is going to be on layer 1. And of course my pumpkin is orange, so I'm going to cut this out of an orange mat. Now I want to put a black mat on top of that, so I'm going to go ahead and add another opening in here. and I'm going to make that 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and it's being placed right on top. Now, technically, if I leave it as it is right now, it's going to cut right on top of itself. So I need to move that object that got placed onto layer 1 onto layer 2. So I'm going to go ahead and type in, or highlight my layer. I'm going to type in layer 2, and I'm going to move that object forward. Okay. Now that I've moved it forward, you can see that it's kind of not displaying the color properties correctly. So I'm going to highlight, I'm going to group and ungroup, and now it's going to be displayed properly. So I've got two objects that are on top of each other at this point in time. Now I'm going to send that file over to the cut program, and again, I'm using my laptop here, so I'm not connected to a machine. So when SmartCut opens up, down at the bottom, it's going to tell me that it is not connected or unable to connect, which is fine, not a big deal. Now over here, I can see on layer 1 and layer 2 that I've got objects in there. So let's see what we have on layer 1. So I'm going to uncheck layer 2, and everything in white is going to be on layer 2, and everything in red is going to be on layer 1. Okay, it's kind of hard to see this. It's a little small image, but it's all set to go and ready to cut. Hopefully this will provide you with some different design techniques and new functionality that you can use in your Valiani VStudio software. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at cterry@crescentcardboard.com. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.